It's yours, and yeah, you can use the microphone.
Good afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm really happy to take the last 20 minutes of this session. So it is a little bit overrun of the time budget. So in fact, my talks will just a little bit closer with that, talking about projects. So I talk about the strategy to deliver the CCS projects and the lessons we are practicing during this 30 years of piloting and demonstrating the CCS feasibilities in the society has provided just enough data for us to do the empirical studies in this case. So to start with, I just like to highlight one thing is that in 2019, this June, it will be the G20, the ministry level meeting on the energy transition to the green growth in Osaka and Karuizawa. And we are proposing our approach to deliver about the CCUS in that ministry level meetings, and we are looking forward for the other countries to provide their roadmaps and solutions. So, okay. So the motivation of this study is quite simple. Is that CCS and the related CO2 removing technologies are critical to achieve the either 2 degree or 1.5 degree scenarios. And the fact is that the slow, comparing with the renewable energy, the slow progress in the deployment and commercialization in CCS is widely recognized. And it faced severe competitions from the renewable energies, no matter from the cost side, from the government support, and public opinions, and even the business interests. Take AER 300 in Europe as an example of this. So the technology, in my opinion, is facing the valley of death of the current ages. We can see two recent papers, one in Nature Climate Change and one in EES, talking about the way forward of CCS, and they mentioned, but as they are all from the engineering perspective, though they argue that the technology is already ready, but the political economy related to the CCS is problematic. As we all know, it's the truth. And some more recent paper talking about the P&D projects of CCS, just appealing the demonstration, the investment on these demonstrations are from the learning perspective. They just analyze how we learn from the experience of it. Of course, I think that's very important issues of appealing learnings to justify these investments. However, the truth is that based on the EASA's recent research that for lumpy technologies like CCS, the learning rate is much lower than in terms of the cost reductions. So my argument is that, of course, learning is important for the research, but for the future penetration deployment, only learning is not enough. So, and the second point is that we need to deliver the successful projects. So we aim to empirically study the project's termination and delay in this case. That means the project failures. So this is our models. So we use dynamic project management decision-making models. We like to measure that how the environment means that all the macro factors and the the project level factors, and also the dynamics of the technology, how they are divided into the two boxes, the green box named the performance and expectations, and the risk and cost box. And these both two boxes are generated the decision makings of the managers. So under a certain unobserved threshold, the projects will moving on the right position towards active or potential, or to the negative position, to the status like termination and delays. So this is our models. So we use survival analysis to do this analysis. It is widely applied in the pharmaceutical industries, which used to examine the impact of effectiveness of certain drugs. So I'll just make it quick, and that is the method I use. So the database I use in these studies start from the 1990s to the more recent 2018, I construct three databases. The first one is the pilot and demonstration project database. It includes all the existing or used to be existing or possibly existing or considered projects, all the related projects that is already been public or known. That includes 264 projects all over in this world in 30 years, and include the details of the project, like when it's announced, when it is terminated, and what the technology is found, and the executive bodies, things like that. And the second database I use as explanatory variable is the technology innovation database in the CCS, which includes the public R&D input in the CCS technology and the patent granted in every countries. And the third one is the climate policy database, which includes all the related CCS-related policies like carbon tax, carbon tax incentive, and the carbon market, and the CAPEX subsidies and OPEX subsidies in this. So the analysis settings like that. For the 264 projects, I labeled five status for all the projects. The first one is terminated, of course. The started and its terminated was announced, so it is dead. So the second one is complete, and the project is announced. We complete our project, we're finished, we're done. So I suggest it is alive to its final death. So the third one and the fourth one is a little bit tricky. It is, they used to announce the project, but no news updated afterwards. So I separate in two cases. One is that I use the threshold of 3 years. If a project announced and in 3 years there was nothing updated, and if it exceeds 3 years, so I think that project is dead as this way. So if it's announced, but within 3 years there is no updates, I claim it as potentials. So the last one is active, of course. That we announce and live and we do it well. That is the five status of the projects. So here is the distributions. We observe that the overall death rate is like 43%, and the overall complete rate is 25%. So this is the graph shows the project status by the project announcement year. You first can look at the right two graphics, which suggest that the full samples with the announced year, we can see that in 2009 there is the largest amount of the projects announced. However, with a very high terminated rate. Here, this is a full sample. When we look at the large-scale demonstration, which I mean large scale means that 1,000 ton CO2 in 1 day. That is the definition of the large scale. So we observe that 77% of death rate of the large-scale demonstrations. So we can see that in 2009, 2008, that is really horrible. So this is for the numbers of projects. And we can take a look here on the left side. It suggests that the capacities. We can see that the black and gray ones are the capacities are terminated or they're at very larger than 3-year delays. So we see that very huge amount of investment in the CCR projects are not finally delivered. Okay, so this is the global CCS capacity in my database. So IEA, the latest report on the 2DS, suggests that the CCS capacity needs to exceed 2,300 megaton per year in 2040s. So where are we now? Is that reality in 2018 that's only 39 megaton per year in operation, and 200 megaton capacity are failed to deliver or at certain risk. And here the graph shows that the gray one is the capacity that really operated, and the blue one is the ideal. If every investment was successful delivered. So we see that there is a huge gap, like only 10% of the capacity that was announced to invest are actually delivered in this case. So here is the graph showing that the innovation landscape of CCS, which includes OECD public R&D spending. So we know that OECD are the main drivers of the R&D investment in the CCS. So to all the countries and how they deliver during the years. So the second graph is the global CCS patent granted, related patent granted in the whole world and the United States, Japan, and China also. So here is the climate policy and supporting schemes. I used a graph of World Bank, the recent state and trends in carbon pricing. And four main categories are included. The first one is the technology push, and the second one is the market pull. We use the project linking to the domestic carbon tax or domestic carbon markets to justify it. So another large group is subsidy. I separated into CapEx subsidy, like grant investments through the state-owned companies and public pipeline projects related. And these are all CapEx subsidies. So for the OpEx subsidy, I include, for example, in the Alberta, in Canada, there's tax credit, and of course in the United States, the section 45Q, there is revised recently. This shows the general overview of the results and see so the changing status of certain policy and certain variables lead to different hazard ratios. So based on the hazard ratios, I made my conclusions. And of course, there is 95% CI and p-value significant ratios. I will explain it in details in the coming graph. So first, we can look at the size and unit cost. We see that here on the left is the graph showing that the pilot projects and demonstration projects, when the size is different, how the density ratio is become. We can see that during 5 years, the pilot projects survived 75, more than 75% of the projects survive. But after like 10 years, the demonstration projects, like 80% of demonstration projects just died. And you can see that here is what I call it in EASA, and shows in that the projects and the cost overrun of certain technologies. The red one is nuclear, and the blue one is CCS. We can see that CCS and nuclear suffers from the very severe the cost overrun of the projects that lead to the failure of projects. So that our results suggest that size included in are generally included in the box of risk and cost. It means that upscaling leads to certain high type of the cost and in the mind of the project managers. And we also test about the unit cost. It also lead to a very high risk in the demonstration projects, but we do not find the evidence that unit cost will affect the survival of pilot projects. So this one shows about the subsidy. So of course we see that both CapEx subsidy and OpEx subsidy can contribute to the performance and expectations in the decision management models. We see that the subsidies directly support the survival of projects. So this is the results of technology push. We know that pilot demonstration is on the road of to pushing technology from the applied research towards adoption and deployment of certain technologies. And we observe that the technology push, which is indicated by the public R&D input, has strongly contributed to the pilot projects, but less to the demonstration projects. So for the patent granted, which stand for the efforts of mainly for the private sectors, so it is also contribute to the performance and expectations. Okay, so this is another important issue is the market poor. We call that the medicines that the government give to these industries. We observe that the commercial poor like EOR and the CCUS really drive the performance and expectations. If the project is based on EOR or CCUS, that the utilization of the CO2 has certain values, that can contribute to the performance and expectation of the certain projects that lead to the more survival rate or higher survival rate of certain projects. And for the carbon tax, we see very mixed results. It suggests that if the carbon price can reach like $50 per ton CO2, it can contribute to the survivals. However, most countries in this world currently do not deliver that kind of carbon tax. So in our results suggest that carbon tax can very flexible, like sometimes come to the expected price, sometimes increase the risk and the cost. And another important thing is that the ETS, the emission trading scheme, just like the EU's. However, we observe that due to the collapse of the price of carbon in the EU ETS, that led to huge deficit and huge fallback and cancellation of the projects, of CCS projects, that really increased the death ratio, halal ratio of the CCS technologies. Of course, there are other like market pool policy like feed-in tariff. We do not observe that in CCS now, but in the case of renewable energy, I think that delivers quite well. So here is the dynamics. We already talk about technology delivering, like there is technology hype, and after the hype there will always be a death. So there is plenty of work on this. So in the case of CCS, we also adapted this kind of models. We suggest that 2009 to 2011 is the technology hype of CCS, and in 2012 and 2014 the value of death project. So we observed that during the hype project, years, that the financing is much more optimism on these technologies that lead to a higher survival rate of projects, like 30% increase. While on the value of death, that people seem like to criticism or substitution of certain technologies, so the survival rate of CCS project decreased like 36%. So another thing is that during the hype period, that more projects are born, means more baby CCS projects are born during the hype projects. However, these projects are suffering from the higher death rate after if the winter comes. That they suffer from a higher death rate. So I explained it from the cognitive bias of investors or policymakers and even public opinions. So the technology itself can be much more gradual. And this graph shows the overall summary of this study, that which box are all the factors come into. You see that policy poor are on the really weaker side of to pushing the CCS technologies. And also there's hype and value of death that we need to address. Okay, so what is the really gap of CCS commercializations? I provided 3 cases here. The first case one is that I use the data of 1984 to 2012, the global industrial projects, which includes the contract renegotiation, cancellation, and dispute of this contract. We see that in the electrical power and sector, the percentage of hazard is 10%. While on the oil, gas, and mining, there's 19%. So the case 2 here use the data of the ADB, suggests that in 1991 to 2015, the global PPP infrastructure project cancellation rate is like 5% or 6%. The amount like $80 billion, only like 4.4% of the total infrastructure investment. So the last case I show here, which is come from the MIT Sloan Business School, and they used the 1997 to 2014 the drug development in the United States, which includes 6,000 drugs and 10 million projects. The cancellation of the drug development is like 37%, and the complete rate is only very low, also very low, 20%. Here, the graph, I summarize all this. So we see that on the infrastructure, like here, suggests that the infrastructure project usually with low risk and low returns in some sense. When the return increase, like towards the electricity, the risk increase. So the oil and gas, much more present and much more risk. So when we come to the drug development in the pharmaceutical industry, these are the industry with very high risk and high return business. So when we come to the CCS in our models, we observe that the CCS demonstration, large-scale demonstration projects suffers from the like 80% death rate and very low return. So that is really a good business. So that is the real gap in my opinion to deliver. Okay, so here is the key implication of this research. Of course, first one, I would like to argue to upscaling is proved to be risky. The upscaling of CCS since 2009 proved to be a really bad decision since that time. And the risk of this kind of failure can be resolved by some kind. Yesterday we see in the privatizations of the Jacobson, and he argued that the smaller scale of nuclear power should be delivered in that case. So very similar in CCS, we also observed that. So for I think that there probably a certain mega trend towards a decentralized and smaller systems from the experience of renewable nuclear, hydrogen, and CCS should not be exemptions. So the second one is that to deliver more successful CCS projects is needed to make this business feasible, of course, from the learning aspect. But the current schemes and government policies are simply not enough to deliver. So the third one is that EUR and CCUS should be highly emphasized. Maybe the future hydrogen production is as also. They are really effective commercial pool. I will say that without EUR and CCUS, that CCS technology can really be hard to deliver or realize in their short terms. And the last one, we observe that at the current design of carbon-related policies, we observe that subsidies exhibit a much stronger role than the carbon prices due to the current carbon strategy scheme is low and uncertain. And ETS experiment in the EU is really not a good story for CCS in this case.
Okay, thank you very much
Thank you.
for the great presentation. So, any questions, comments to Dr. Wong? Okay, I guess it's getting pretty soon. Yeah.
Just one question. So,
Sure.
so how do you define completion? So the project can extract, right? That's captured.
Yes.
That your completion also include the storage as well?
Yeah. In the project database, it includes all set of projects. It includes like the project announced to be I only do the capture. That is defined of
Okay, it's
so
project capture, not just
capture. That's just
not
capture.
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Project.
Yeah, full scale, not this.
Yeah, I see the more challenge with the storage.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I also think that the full integration of the whole system that is much more challenging.
So, question or comment, it means that what you presented as these huge issues with getting CCS on board is actually only the capture part. You're not going to have to store it. So adding that on top, what are your prospects for CCS, the complete chain, in the next 10 to 15 years?
I think that storage is if you do not storage and you just use it or using like EORs, I think that the barriers, the financial barriers can be much looser, much easier, but the thing that the impact on climate change is much less. So that some portion of the CO2 actually return back to the society.